Hi, my name's Ben and I'm a data engineer at Quintessence. Today we're going to be looking at time series and relationships, and specifically the functions that we use to surface this data. To start, I'm going to go to the entity browser, look for an entity, find its close price, and copy the function for that close price. We're going to go to Excel, I'm going to create a new sheet, and I'm going to paste in that particular function and get some data back. Now, if we look at the function that we've pasted in, we'll see there's actually quite a lot to this function. And we've skimmed over some of these details in the Quintessence data model video if you want to go back and look at those. But we're going to look at a little bit more detail in some of the bits we haven't seen before. Now, a very useful thing to do is to click on the FX button in Excel. And this will give me a breakdown of all the functions, all the arguments inside this function. So the first one is the entity code. These are the entities we're interested in, and the entities we want to see data on. Then we have the factor, so this would be the name of the time series. So in this case, we're looking at close price. Now, we could put multiple factors in here, but we're just going to leave this as a single factor. After that, we've got start date and end date. This obviously gives us a range that we're interested in. At the moment, this range is the 25th of Feb to the 25th of Feb, but we can see that we've got a colon minus 10. And what that means is get 10 points before this. So this data in this database only has data up until 2012, and so 10 points before the 25th of Feb 2021 is actually from the 16th to the 30th of 2012, all right, of April. So this is a useful way of getting back data when we're not sure where it is, and very useful when the data is in the database. But we can also change these dates if we wanted to get different data sets. After that, we've got this thing called frequency. Now, a frequency of P references getting data back wherever there is data. But there are lots of other frequencies that are more traditional frequencies. One as such is D, and this will get back a line for every day between your start date and end date. So if I change my date to the 1st of April 2012, I guess this would actually be 2012 like that. And we make it up until the 1st of May 2012. If I click OK now, I'm going to get a line back for every day, because I said D, between the 1st of April and the 1st of May of 2012. We could change this to trading day, and that would remove weekend, so we can see more complete data. Or we could also say P as we had it before, and this will show us the same data because there's always data on a trading day in this example. And we could also do other things such as week starts or weekends or trading week starts or trading weekends. There are lots of options for what a frequency can be. Now, after that, we also have something called interpolation. This lets you find out numbers in between other values where there's blanks. For example, here on the 25th, we are missing a value. So if we take this interpolation, say instead of saying none, none, we can say forward, forward. That will give us a date in between, a value in between there that was taken from the previous number. And there's more to that as well, but we're not going to go too far into that. Then we have a view. This helps us understand how we want to see the data. So at the moment, it's on data view, and it's got entity, value date, declaration date, and value. And these are 4 parts of the data we might be interested in. Now, a useful thing to do might be to say star. That'll give me all the parts of the data that I might be interested in. And what's more is at the end of the data view, I'm going to type in colon both, and this gives me headers. All right. So here I can see the source is data provider 3. The attributes are NA or not applicable, same as the period, and the unit is ZAR. This is very useful in me understanding what data I've actually called from the entity browser. But it's also useful for me to know what do I need to change to get data back. So if I wanted USD data, I might type in USD here. I'm going to leave this as ZAR. Similarly, if I want my period to be a different period, and this references the type of data and the actual values, what they mean, I can make them monthly numbers or daily numbers. NA probably links to daily as well. We have an information as a date, and this links to the declaration date. So if I'm interested in seeing only things as if I were looking at a date in the past, I could put in an information as a date to filter down on declaration date. So perhaps, I want to see these values as if I was looking on the 20th of April in 2012. I can type in 20 April 2012, right? And if I click OK, I actually missed some of this data. This number is now the forward interpolated data if I were to forward interpolate from the 20th of April. And if I remove my interpolation, I'll see we actually get no values back over there. And there we have no value, and we don't have a value in between because this was a day where there wasn't a value already. Now, the last few options here, we've got sources. So here we're referencing data from data provider 3, but we could change that to a different source if we're interested in data provider 4, data provider 1, whatever we want. And then we've got attributes. And attributes are a catch-all way of defining data further. So often we might be interested in looking at forecast data, and so we could type in forecast as an attribute in order to make sure we're getting the forecast data back. And it's just a way to have any sort of piece of information attached to a value in order to further define what that value means. Now, there's quite a lot that we've gone through now, but the important thing to remember is that this insert function button is very useful for examining the different parts of it. And further than that, there's also a help, which will take you to the Quintessence help and give you a breakdown of what each of these parts of the function means. Now, there is also the relationship data function. Now I'm quickly going to go call some relationship data. So I'm going to type in portfolio 1, and we're going to go to market value and copy this function, go back to Excel, paste this in, get our data back. And if I go on that FX button again, I see a very similar set of parameters coming back, except here I've got a constituent. So this is the relationship type. This is extra. We didn't have this in time series. And if we go further down, we'll also see there's a relationship source linking to from where do I get the list of instruments you want this data to come from, right? We may need to remember relationship data is data, sort of like time series data, attached to a connection between two instruments. So we need that connection, that relationship first, which we have defined by this relationship source and by the relationship function, relationship type above. And then we can get the time series data, which is what all the other parameters in here are linked to. Now, hopefully this has been useful for you understanding relationship data and time series. Don't forget this FX button and clicking help on this function to give you a better understanding of what each parameter means when you need to use these functions.